In her past life, Sam had saved her from drowning. That memory had been her anchor, the reason she married him despite the coldness in his eyes and the indifference in his voice. She cooked for his family, took care of his mother and sister, and even when she was pregnant, she worked under the scorching sun in the fields just to help pay for his education. Her father had died shielding Sam from a wild boar, and her mother passed shortly after from heartbreak. It was only then that Sam's attitude softened, and she, naive as always, thought she had finally earned his love. But in her twilight years, he asked for a divorce. Her own children told her to be understanding, to let their father follow his heart. When she saw Sam and Lisa standing together, hands intertwined, eyes locked in a gaze so intimate it pierced her soul, she felt all the years of sacrifice, all the pain she'd buried, rise in her chest like fire. She coughed up blood, and when she opened her eyes again, she was back to the moment before she had ever fallen into the lake. Looking around the classroom she had dreamed of returning to so many times, she felt a sting at the bridge of her nose. In her past life, she had been one of the top students. Even Sam couldn't beat her. But on the day of the college entrance exam, she fell sick with food poisoning and missed it. Soon after, despite precautions, she found herself pregnant. Sam's family pleaded with her to give up the exam. She did. Even pregnant, she labored in the fields to earn work credits to support Sam and his younger sister Elena through school. Misfortune came like a storm. Her father died saving Sam. Her mother followed out of grief. Her brother vanished, leaving for the south to find work and never returned. Sam's family, seeing she was now an orphan, shamelessly moved into her house. She became their beast of burden, working herself to the bone. She supported Sam until he graduated and became a university professor. But to him, she was just an uneducated peasant, uncultured, unsophisticated. He despised the way she cared about grocery costs, how she only ever spoke of chores, vinegar, and gossip. She endured his scorn for years. Until one day, while cleaning, she opened a box she had always been too afraid to touch. That was when her life shattered. Sam had been with Lisa all along. He had even used her money to pay for Lisa's university tuition. No wonder he always complained about how expensive life was in the city, how hard it was to get a steady job. Meanwhile, she scraped by washing dishes, saving every cent, her hands cracked and raw from winter frost. She couldn't even afford clam oil. And they were spending her money living off it while Sam's letters dripped with condescension, blaming her for keeping them apart. Her children had known all along and helped him hide it. Frozen inside, trembling, she dialed Sam's number. Her throat tightened. She couldn't speak at first. He was impatient, ready to hang up. "I know about you and Lisa," she said quickly. "It's fine. There's no need to hide it anymore." How could someone be so shameless? Her chest ached. She could barely breathe. She thought about going to the hospital, but her son just looked at her with a complicated expression. "Mom, don't make a scene. If you hadn't fallen into the lake on purpose, Dad would have never married you. You ruined his life. You're not happy, why hold on? Fallen on purpose?" Back then, she had liked Sam, yes, but after he rejected her, she let it go. When he pulled her out of the water and was pressured into marrying her, she carried guilt ever since. She tried to explain it was an accident. She hadn't even known he was nearby. But he never believed her. Later, he brought Lisa into their home. Lisa, still youthful and polished, wore pearl hair clips and modern shoes. She, by contrast, was weathered by years of toil, wearing shoes bleached nearly white from too many washes, cradling her grandson's soiled diaper in her arms. The difference was humiliating. Sam looked at her with disdain and declared that since they were never officially married, she could stay in the house with their son, but he would be living with Lisa. From that day on, they'd be formally separated. Her children she had raised with her own blood stood by Lisa, as if she were the rightful wife. Even her daughter-in-law, the one she had given all her savings to, urged her to let Sam go, to stop clinging to a man who never wanted her. Heartbroken, defeated, She collapsed, vomiting blood and losing consciousness. When she came to, her memories returned. 2 sweet potatoes in her bag. A second chance. Heaven had given her a miracle. This time, she would never marry Sam. She looked around at her classmates. Their names blurred like distant dreams. In her past life, most had become successful, while she had remained confined at home. She had never even attended a class reunion because her son Luis had returned the dress she bought for the occasion, afraid she would embarrass his father. Not again. Emma, what's wrong with you? Sam hasn't eaten yet. Why aren't you bringing him his lunch? Class is about to start. Monica, her desk mate, called out, snapping her from her daze. She blinked, stunned. The village was 10 miles from school, and the cafeteria was expensive. Most kids brought food from home, then walked back after classes. They only ate twice a day. If you missed breakfast, there was no energy to last the day, certainly none to study. Sam had made it clear he didn't like her. But she pitied him. Back then, he often skipped breakfast and would get dizzy from hunger, so she would save half of hers for him and eat only a little herself. Over time, it ruined her stomach. In the later years of her life, when she could finally afford to eat until she was full, her body could no longer handle rich or greasy food. She could only stare at it in silence. Sam lifted his head from his desk and looked at Monica and her with that cold, aloof gaze. I'm fine. I'm not eating. But she saw him clench his stomach and grimace, clearly suppressing the discomfort. In her past life, it was this exact toughness that had drawn her in. Back when food was scarce and everyone struggled to fill their bellies, she had practically begged him to eat her entire breakfast. Sam always said he didn't want to owe her anything, that he'd pay her back someday with food. But he never did. He never meant to. He just talked. And she had been a fool. How could she ever have found someone like that appealing? Now, just looking at him made her skin crawl. She turned away, peeled the sweet potato, and took a huge bite. It was cold, but still delicious and satisfying. She devoured both sweet potatoes quickly. When Sam realized she wasn't going to give him any, his expression darkened considerably. He stared at her in confusion, but she ignored him and flipped open her textbook. Thankfully, despite the many years that had passed, the regret of never attending college had never faded. In her past life, she secretly studied with her children's textbooks, quietly filling the holes in her education. Had she not been buried under household responsibilities, she might have already earned a degree through self-study alone. Knowledge wasn't unfamiliar to her anymore. And now, with half a year until the college entrance exams, she was confident this time she'd get into the university she wanted. She'd rise. She'd serve her country. After class, she gathered her things and rushed home. In her past life, if it weren't for Sam, her parents might still be alive. But now they were. They were still here. The people who had loved her most. After they died, no one had ever asked if her frostbitten hands hurt. Not again. She would never let that happen again. Lost in thought, she looked up and saw Sam nearby, hunched over in pain as if trying to endure something. Not her problem. She stared at him coldly and stepped to the side, ready to walk past, but he blocked her path. Move, she snapped. Images of his betrayal, his rejection, his spineless obedience to his mother flashed through her mind. When she looked at him now, all she could feel was disgust. Emma, what's wrong with you? Why are you being so mean to me all of a sudden? Sam stepped closer, trying to bridge the distance. She immediately took a step back. Get away from me, or I'll report you for harassment. He froze, face stricken like he wanted to speak but couldn't. She didn't care. She turned to leave when a whiny voice called from behind. Emma, I'm hungry. Then go home and ask your mother, she replied without even turning her head. When she got home and saw her mother bustling in the kitchen, her father just arriving from work, gulping down water from a large bowl, it all felt real. Her rebirth was real. Her mother, startled by her reaction, thought something had happened at school. But when she asked, Emma simply told her she was happy maybe she had a chance at college this time, and then she broke down crying. In the days that followed, she stopped giving Sam any attention at school. She made it clear she was cutting him off. Before, Sam used to bring half a course bun to school, but ever since she'd given him her breakfast, he never brought anything again. Maybe he didn't believe she had truly changed. Maybe he thought she was trying to get his attention. So he stopped bringing food entirely and collapsed from hunger during class. She didn't blink. When Monica found out, she scolded her. "How could you not bring him food?" "I don't owe him anything," she said. "If you feel sorry for him, you can give him yours." Monica fell silent. After class, she walked off on her own. Sam used to follow her at a distance, but today was nowhere to be seen. And then it hit her. Today was the day in her past life that Sam had saved her from drowning. She had nearly forgotten. Ahead was a steep hill, almost vertical. The only way down was by grabbing tree branches for support. One wrong move, and you could fall. At the bottom, a narrow path led to a deep lake. There were other routes home, but they were longer and she'd get back after dark. She clenched her fists. This time, she wouldn't make the same mistake. Just as she was about to descend, someone appeared in the distance. She looked closer. Younger, brighter eyes. Lisa. This wasn't the polished, arrogant Lisa from her final years, the one who looked down on her with disdain. This Lisa was still a country girl, skin darkened by the sun like hers, thin, worn out, her face pale and tired. In her past life, Lisa had blamed her for ruining her relationship with Sam. Well, this time, Emma would grant her every wish. She didn't know for sure if Lisa would fall into the water today, but her right eyelid twitched uncontrollably. Deep down, her instincts told her fall hadn't been an accident. She would soon find out. Quickly, she found a hiding spot and waited. Lisa arrived, gripping branches to climb down the slope. Nothing happened. Emma waited. She felt almost disappointed. Had it really just been bad luck? She had walked this path countless times. Why had she fallen that one day? And then splash. A heavy thud in the water. She leaned forward, peering down the hill. Lisa was flailing in the lake, crying for help. Sam, standing on the opposite shore, immediately dove in, swimming toward her. It was true. Her fall hadn't been an accident. It had been a setup. Sam had staged it. Back then, she had already confessed her feelings to him, told him she liked him. He had rejected her openly, yet behind the scenes he'd orchestrated this elaborate trap to manipulate her with guilt and keep her under control for the rest of her life. His mother never treated her well either. "If it weren't for saving you," she once shouted, "my son would never have married such a disgrace. Now he's a professor, and city girls are all over him. Who knows how many lifetimes of luck you needed to marry into our family and enjoy life like this." Hatred bubbled in her chest, and before she realized it, she had bitten her lip so hard it bled. But this time, they wouldn't get away with it. She would watch them fall. As soon as Sam pulled Lisa out of the water, his mother arrived, bringing along a group of onlookers. "I saw a mushroom patch here yesterday, but they're all gone today. I wonder which naughty kid picked them all. Oh my God. Let's go see." In her past life, she was the one who got pulled out of the water, half naked, cradled in Sam's arms, the entire village watching. By midday, the rumors had spread like wildfire. But this time, she stayed hidden, silently watching the spectacle from the hill. Her sharp eyes caught the exact moment Sam realized it was Lisa flailing in the water. He froze, but only briefly. Then, after a beat of hesitation, he quickly undid his shirt, using the chance to hold the woman he actually loved while Lisa was still unaware. She blinked, remembering the letter Sam had once written to Lisa. In it, he confessed he had loved her since high school but never had the courage to say anything because of his poor family background. Instead, he ended up with Emma because she clung to him after he saved her. It all made sense now. Never intended to take advantage of Emma. That whole act had been for Lisa. But then something unexpected happened. Lisa shoved him away. "Who asked you to save me? Don't act so noble." She quickly covered herself and stormed off. Sam's mother, realizing they'd saved the wrong person, didn't scream like she had in the past. But with so many witnesses, word quickly spread across the village. Sam had held Lisa in his arms after pulling her from the lake. Emma sighed in relief. She figured the next thing she'd hear would be wedding bells. But to her surprise, even after all the gossip, Lisa refused to marry Sam. She was focused on the college entrance exam. Once she passed, she'd return to the city. She had no intention of staying here, let alone marrying Sam even though he was taking the same exam. And who's to say he'd even pass? He had passed in the past life, sure, but Lisa didn't know that. Back then, once he got into Peking University, he finally started chasing after Lisa, inviting her to movies, buying her lingerie, constantly inventing reasons to ask Emma for money. It seemed Emma had been the only one who'd ever truly loved. She thought this life would be different, that she and Sam would finally be strangers, but Sam still clung to her. It was a school holiday, and she had just gathered grass for the pigs when she saw Sam standing at her front gate. His eyes lit up when he spotted her, and he hurried over. "Emma, you're back. I've been waiting all morning." "What do you want?" she asked coolly, heading toward the backyard with the grass in her arms. "Wait, I need to talk to you." When she ignored him, he grabbed the grass from her hands, tossed it aside, and blocked her path. "Didn't you say you liked me?" "I agreed. As long as your family supports me through university, once I graduate, we can get married." He pressed his hands on her shoulders, frowning like a wounded puppy, waiting for her to agree. She clenched the butcher knife behind her back, resisting the urge to slice his hand. Instead, she smiled a cold, fake smile. "Sam, do I like you?" The moment he heard that, his face relaxed, clearly thinking it was the answer he expected. He sighed. "Even though I don't like you now, if you insist, I think I could grow to like you eventually." Hearing that, every shred of hate she had toward him vanished, not because she forgave him, but because it all suddenly seemed so pointless. The betrayal, the pain, the sacrifices she made for his approval, all of it felt laughably pathetic. None of it had ever been worth it. This new life, her focus would be on her family and her future, not on him, not even on revenge. He didn't deserve the space in her mind. "Well, Sam, it turns out I don't like you anymore. So, I hope you'll remember that and stop bothering me from now on." She bent down to gather the pig grass again. "Emma, you'll regret this. When I get into college and land a great job, if you come crawling back, it'll be too late." She scoffed and said nothing. "Don't be greedy, Emma," Sam snapped. "I know ignoring me has made me pay more attention to you, and now I've given you a chance. Do I really need to marry Lisa before you drop this act?"
He was getting annoyed now.
Maybe in her past life, she had fed his ego too much, made him think she was the one desperate for him. "You really think Lisa would look at you?" she asked, laughing in disbelief. "Keep dreaming." "Fine. Just wait when I marry her. You'll be sorry," he shouted and stormed off. "Marry her?
Good.
Two selfish people deserve each other. Without me for him to leech off, let's see what kind of life they can have." "Emma, wait. You're wrong about this. I have to talk to you." Roxana from next door chimed in, apparently having eavesdropped. "Sam's a good boy. He's handsome, he's smart. If it weren't for his background, do you really think he'd look at someone like you?" Roxana had always looked down on her. In her past life, after Sam's family moved in, Roxana stirred up trouble, pushing Sam's mother to impose more rules and make her life miserable. Emma replied coldly, "Don't worry. And, by the way, me grades are way better than his." What good are a girl's grades anyway? In the end, you'll still have to marry and bear children. A man is your real support. If you lose Sam, I wonder what kind of ugly man you'll end up with. "Whatever it is, it won't be worse than yours," she shot back. Roxana's husband was a lazy brute, constantly losing points at work, and when he drank, he beat her and the kids until their screams echoed through the village. Her parents had stepped in to help twice, but Roxana had only mocked them, telling them to stay out of other people's business. Even when she was black and blue, she still defended her abusive husband, saying, All men beat their wives. At least mine loves me enough not to kill me. Since Emma's parents never laid a hand on each other, Roxana's bitterness turned to envy. She redirected her resentment at their family, dumping fertilizer or manure, accidentally, in front of their house. You deserve it, Roxana sneered. I'm talking to you, and that's the attitude you give me? I'm older than you should call me auntie. The insult hung in the air like poison. Emma was about to fire back when someone stepped between them. Your mouth's filthier than a latrine. Do you even deserve to be called auntie? Try insulting my sister again, see what happens. Her heart clenched. That voice, that figurite was her older brother. In her past life, they had grown distant after their parents died. But when their parents were still alive, he had always defended her. Forget it, don't waste time with her. You must be hungry, brother. I roasted 2 sweet potatoes for you. Go eat. You're the only one who still cares about me, he said with a smile, wiping her tears and glaring at Roxana until she left. 1 month later, Sam and Lisa finally got married. Since they were too young to legally register their marriage, they held a small ceremony, and Lisa moved out of the commune to live with him. Emma showed up to see the fuss, and during the banquet, Lisa threw her a defiant look that made her uneasy. Could it be Lisa had reincarnated too? 2 months later came the long-awaited college entrance exam. This time, Emma was extra careful. She wrapped herself in the thickest blanket at night, drank only boiled water, not tap, and avoided the mistake from her past life, where she had fallen ill with food poisoning and missed the test. The day before the exam, Sam appeared again, this time holding Lisa's hand, clearly trying to show off. The two of them looked so sweet and affectionate. Sam even handed her a red egg, urging her to eat it quickly for good luck, to wish her success on the exam. Go on, eat it, Emma. What's wrong? Can't eat now that you've seen us married. Thanks, but maybe you two should keep it, she said, handing the egg back to Lisa. She felt a deep unease. In her past life, Sam had given her a roasted sweet potato the day before the exam, and she ended up violently ill, barely able to stand. It was hard not to suspect he had done it on purpose, to keep her home, working herself to death while he chased his education. When she didn't eat the egg, Sam grew irritated. He snatched it back from Lisa and tried to shove it toward her again. What? You don't want our red wedding egg? Can't stand to see us happy? She backed away as if facing a madman. His obsession was unnatural. Valuable as eggs were, she didn't believe for a second it was out of kindness. Something had to be wrong with it. She considered taking it and tossing it later. But before she could act, Monica appeared, saw them bickering over the egg, and without hesitation, snatched it, peeled it, and ate it. Well, I didn't get enough breakfast. If neither of you wants it, I'll take it. Then she bolted. Sure enough, right after the exam, Monica's face turned pale. There was a loud plop, a foul smell filled the air, and she raised her hand weakly, requesting to go to the restroom. After the test, Monica cornered Emma at the door, her face ghost white, eyes full of fury. That egg gave me diarrhea. If you tried to sabotage me, Emma, I swear I'll make sure you don't pass either. Onlookers gathered. Emma's smile was ice. First of all, Monica, you grabbed that egg from me. I never gave it to you. Second, if your eyes are working, you might have noticed that it was a red egg.
You know what that means, right?
It was Sam and Lisa's wedding egg. If you're going to blame someone, maybe start with them, not me. Monica froze, speechless. Emma knew she had feelings for Sam. In her past life, Monica had made her life hell because of it. But this time, not only was Sam already married, Monica had ruined herself by her own hand, damaging her chances in the college exam. She wondered how Monica would deal with that now. Later that day, word spread that Sam and Lisa had been arrested for poisoning Monica during the college exam. Emma showed no emotion, but inside, she felt a secret thrill. Finally, they got what they deserved. By the time she returned to the village, the entire commune had heard. Sam and Lisa had laced the red egg with laxatives, and both had been taken in by the police. In the end, Sam's family paid Monica 30 yuan as hush money, and the matter was swept under the rug. But their reputation was destroyed. Sam's mother, harsh and unreasonable as she was, had long relied on the villagers' tolerance as a struggling widow. But now with this scandal, no one wanted anything to do with their family. People crossed the street to avoid them. Imagine poisoning someone with laxatives at that age. While they do in the future resort to real poison over arguments, some whispered. As for the other families who received red eggs that day, they weren't afraid to eat them. After all, laxatives don't kill. And if they got sick, they figured, at least they'd get compensation. 30 yuan wasn't a small amount. Sam's mother had always been stingy. Even though she had some savings, the recent wedding between Sam and Lisa had drained most of it, and now with the compensation paid for poisoning Monica, there was barely enough left to support Sam and Elena's schooling. In her past life, by this point, Emma was already married to Sam. He gave her 50 yuan as a bride price, nothing more. Her parents and brother didn't want her to marry him, didn't want to see her suffer, but she had been foolish and insisted. They couldn't stop her. After the wedding, Sam found some excuse to take back the 50 yuan he'd given her. And once her parents passed and her brother left, his family took over everything. Her family's house, the money her parents had hidden, it all vanished into his mother's greedy hands. From that moment on, Sam's family never had to worry about money. While he went to school, she toiled in the fields, pregnant. When he became a teacher, his salary was meager, but he never gave her a cent. She had to raise the children and sell goods at the market just to survive. Sam was ashamed that she sold things in public, and he would lash out in anger. But never once did he offer her any financial support. If she didn't hustle at the market, how were they supposed to eat? Remembering it made fury rise in her chest. Sam failing to get into university wasn't even that bad compared to what he did to her and her family. In her past life, he had destroyed everything. Without her backing this time, she wondered how he'd fare when he came face to face with a wild boar. 2 months later, someone in the village claimed to have found wild ginseng in the back mountain, old, valuable, worth over 100 yuan. Suddenly, no one cared about work anymore. After chores were done, they all rushed to the mountain, chasing that same luck. In her past life, Sam had become obsessed with getting rich. He wandered that mountain every day, and when he couldn't find any ginseng, he ventured deeper into the woods, forgetting that dangerous animals roamed those parts. Tigers.
Boars.
At the time, Emma was pregnant. Her father had gone into the mountain to hunt a pheasant, hoping to bring something nutritious for her. But instead of finding the bird, he found Sam being chased by an enraged boar. Her father died saving him. In this life, Emma clung to her father, begging him not to go. She told him she had dreamed vivid, terrifying visions of him being mauled by a wild boar and dying in those woods. Her mother, devastated, had followed him in death shortly after. As she spoke, memories of her parents' deaths, of the misery she endured in Sam's home, overwhelmed her. She sobbed until her eyes were red and swollen. Her father, moved by her despair, promised solemnly that he would not go. Only then did she finally feel at ease. In her past life, no one besides Sam had dared to venture that far into the mountain. After the accident, no one else had the courage. That's why she didn't warn the others. After all, who would believe her if she said there was a dangerous boar out there? She fully expected to hear that Sam had been injured. But 3 days later, the one who died was Roxana's husband. He was gored to death while supposedly saving Sam. The scene was said to be horrific, blood everywhere. But something didn't make sense. That man wouldn't risk his life for his own son, let alone Sam. When Roxana heard, she lost her mind. She stormed into Sam's house, screaming that he had to pay for her husband's life. Sam's mother, usually so sharp-tongued, had no defense this time. Her son had clearly benefited from someone else's sacrifice. Roxana slapped her across the face repeatedly, and for once, Sam's mother didn't dare retaliate. Her face swelled from the beating, but she endured it in silence. Roxana had been used to beatings, it was all too common back then. But now she was a widow, alone with children too small to help her survive. A woman without a man became gossip fodder, a target for cruelty. Her world had collapsed. She called the police, quit her job, and camped outside Sam's house for half a month. Every day she shouted curses, cried with her children, and ate from Sam's kitchen out of desperation. Sam's mother, with no way out, finally agreed to pay 500 yuan in compensation. It crushed them. After using their last 20 yuan, they still owed 480. School? Forget it. Even putting food on the table became a challenge. When Lisa saw the debt, she exploded. She demanded a divorce. The family refused. Lisa threatened to bash her head against the wall if they didn't let her go. Sam's mother, bitter from the money they'd just paid, snapped. She slapped Lisa so hard she fainted on the spot. Not long after, the university entrance results were posted. Emma's left eyelid had been twitching since early morning. Then came a knock at the door. Standing there was the village leader, beaming like a sunflower. In his hand, he held a letter from Peking University. A letter Emma had once only dreamed of, a dream that had haunted her heart for 60 long years. She opened the envelope and saw her name, Emma. A wave of emotion crashed over her. She had lost this chance for far too long, 60 years, an entire lifetime. Even now, holding the acceptance letter in her hands, it felt surreal, like a dream she couldn't believe had finally come true. Congratulations, Emma. You're amazing. The first college student from Tupo village. Finally, a golden phoenix has flown from this humble nest. You've made all of us proud, your family and our village. Her parents took the letter and studied it carefully, their faces glowing with a mix of pride and disbelief. Even her older brother couldn't hide his excitement. In her past life, he had given up his own opportunity to study so she could go, but she had failed him. She had thrown away his sacrifice and brought only pain to their parents. They had grown apart, and in the end, she never saw him again before she died. This time, she would make it right. Soon, neighbors began gathering to witness the moment. The same people who once called her a burden, who had claimed her parents were wasting money on her, now came bearing wide smiles, showering her with praise. Some were clearly jealous, making backhanded comments, while others tried to set her up with potential husbands. After the crowd dispersed, she tucked the letter safely away and turned toward the house only to see a familiar, worn figure in the distance. Emma, you came back too, didn't you? Sam stood there, eyes shimmering with nostalgia and regret. Emma, I get it now, you were always the right one for me. You got into college too? That's incredible. Once I get in, we can go together. Seeing her cold expression, a flicker of discomfort crossed his face, but he quickly masked it with a forced smile. Emma, why won't you talk to me? If you want, I'll divorce Lisa right now. We can throw a wedding first, and once you're of legal age, we'll register it officially. What do you think? She let out a sharp, mocking laugh. How the tables had turned. As Sam kept rambling, trying to rope her into fixing his crumbling family, she cut him off. What makes you think someone like me would be interested in a twice-divorced man with a criminal record who couldn't even get into college? Sam, you're still as delusional and self-centered as ever. She stared at him like he was something revolting. In her past life, Sam had looked down on her for years. His contempt had been her daily bread. But now, the moment he tasted even a hint of that same disdain, he couldn't handle it. His face twisted in rage. He gritted his teeth and suddenly raised his hand, ready to strike her. Emma, I think I gave you too much credit. In our last life, you were nothing but a filthy peasant. How could you possibly be worthy of me? You wasted half my life, and I still gave you a son and a daughter. Think carefully. If you don't marry me in this life, those children will never exist.
Huh.
Those ungrateful brats who clung to Lisa in the end? Like she cared. Before his slap could land, she kicked him hard right where it hurt most. A blood-curdling scream tore from his throat as he collapsed, clutching himself in agony. She didn't even spare him a glance. She turned around, walked into the house, and slammed the door quick, clean, done. But to her surprise, that very afternoon, Sam's mother showed up at her doorstep, dragging both Sam and Elena behind her. "Emma, I know you've always loved our Sam. I told him to divorce that tramp Lisa. You're the only daughter-in-law this old woman will ever accept. Now that you got into college, it's a double celebration. Come on, let's set a date and make this happen." The old hag was shouting at full volume, and within minutes, the neighbors had gathered again to watch the drama. One woman chuckled sarcastically, "Ma'am, Emma's about to go to university. You really think she still wants your son? Don't embarrass yourself." "Exactly. What? Does Sam's family think we're all idiots? With that mountain of debt and their name in ruins, Emma would have to be insane to fall into that trap. You all don't get it." Sam's mother barked. "Emma might act all proper now, but my son's already touched her. If she doesn't marry into our family, we'll see which other family will still want her." "Pfft. Used goods," someone muttered, and the crowd exploded with laughter. Emma's brother, having heard enough, grabbed a shovel and stormed toward the old woman, ready to knock her teeth out. She quickly held him back. "Don't lose your temper. This is slander. The more noise they make now, the harder they'll cry when they're in jail." "Well said," she added, clapping as she opened the door. Silence fell.
You all heard what she said.
"When the time comes, I hope you'll all be witnesses. I, Emma, would never stoop so low as to want a man like Sam. Uncle, please go to the police station for me. This family is spreading lies and trying to destroy my reputation to cling on to me." Every word she said was meant to drive me to despair. If she can slander me today, she can slander any of you tomorrow. The crowd's expressions shifted. At first, they had seen this as entertainment.
But now?
They all had daughters at home. If Sam's mother could spout such venom here, what's to stop her from doing it again to someone else's child? In times like these, ruining a girl's reputation was as good as killing her. Her uncle, loyal to their family, was already racing off to report the incident. Panic flickered across Sam's face, quickly replaced by something colder, darker. Emma cut the act. "Call him back." "The police? Really? You think I don't know what kind of woman you are?" His voice rose with vicious confidence. "I can prove everything my mother said is true. How else would I know you have a crescent-shaped birthmark on your waist?" The air turned to ice. The crowd turned. Her parents' faces drained of color. Her fists clenched tightly. Of course, he knew he had seen it in their past life. But in this life, they had never even touched. And now, in front of everyone, he had fired a bullet straight into her honor. In this era, a single sentence like that was a death sentence. Death or marrying him. Those were the only options they wanted to leave me. My nails dug into my palms. Why, in this life, even after I had done everything to stay far away from Sam, did he still cling to me like a blood-sucking parasite? Did he really think that if he managed to force me into marrying him, I'd become his obedient little servant again? Not a chance. The only thing I'd do was poison the entire family with a bottle of rat poison and walk away. If they thought I'd play the role of the docile wife again, they were dreaming. Then suddenly, a spark of clarity cut through my fury. "Sam," I said loudly, "I don't have any birthmark on my waist. I suggest you start confessing before the police arrive, or else." I stepped in closer and leaned near him, whispering just loud enough for only the two of us to hear. "That day, at the back hill, you weren't alone. You think no one saw what happened, but I know the truth. Roxana's husband didn't try to save you, you pushed him toward the boar to save yourself." His eyes widened in horror. His face went completely white. So I was right. Roxana's husband hadn't died a hero. Sam had shoved him to his death, which meant my father in my past life had likely died the same way. The weight of that realization sent a fresh wave of rage through my chest. I wanted justice. But I was bluffing. I had no witness. If I did, Sam wouldn't just be facing compensation, be facing a firing squad. But Sam didn't know that. And from the guilt on his face, from the way he suddenly couldn't meet my eyes, I knew he believed I had proof. When the police finally arrived, Sam didn't even try to defend himself. He confessed right away. With the testimonies of all the villagers who had witnessed his and his mother's slander, I filed charges, and both of them were publicly paraded in a march of shame before being sentenced to 6 months of labor on a state farm. But no matter what punishment they received, the truth Wazami reputation had already been torn to shreds by their lies. Did I care? Not anymore. I had long since stopped believing in love. All that mattered now was building a better life for my family and doing something meaningful for my country. I scraped together my tuition by selling goods at a street stall. After graduating from university, I kept studying and eventually joined a national research institute specializing in semiconductor technology. 10 years passed. When I returned to Tupou village, it was no longer the place I had once known. Back when I left for college, I passed the street stall business to my older brother. I shared my profits with him and told him about the coming shifts in national economic policy. His business took off. He eventually built his own company. Together, we bought several courtyard homes in Beijing before the housing boom and invested in stocks that grew exponentially. Over the years, we reached complete financial freedom. We donated funds to the local government, helping them build roads and bridges across Tupou. The village flourished. The country grew strong. People no longer went hungry. They had warm clothes to wear. In this life, I stayed far away from love. I gave everything to my career. And I don't regret it not one bit.